Welcome to Family Gamer TV. I'm with Ken Levine, director of Rational Games. Element that stands out from what I've read about Bioshock Infinite is that it has a more of a religious thread, and it seems that's more fleshed out, and it tends to use sort of Christian metaphors of the lamb and the whole sort of setup.
Well, it has sort of like the religion that's in it it's an offshoot of Christianity in the same way that, say, Mormonism might be an offshoot of Christianity, or Islam might be an offshoot of the Old Testament. It's sort of a new creation that uses a lot of elements of the Old Testament and the New Testament. In fact, probably a lot of it's more. There's a lot of sort of Christian principles. There's a lot of Old Testament stuff in it too.
And so our prophet led the people away from the Sodom below, up into the city, where they created an even more perfect union. But it was the miracle child, the lamb, that is the future of our city. For the prophet has said that she is righteousness.
So yeah, but we definitely take on. It's not just that we take on, because it's not a game that's saying the game doesn't have any sort of commentary about like the existence of God or anything. It's about how man deals with religion and what man and how mortals deal with religion.
Mm-hmm. Seed of the prophet shall sit the throne and drown in flame the mountains of man.
Booker, are you afraid of God?
No, but I'm afraid of you.
I heard in other interviews you talking about how you needed to get to grips with that idea so that you could properly write the main, one of the main characters, Comstock. And how did you go about sort of getting to grips with that?
So I was writing the character, and this character Comstock, who's a prophet figure. He's sort of like a Mosaic figure or a Joseph Smith figure. He's a prophet. Because I'm not a religious person, I never had a sort of an ecstatic religious experience, and that's something that's going to be quite transformative to people. And it's sort of generally, I find that I've had friends who were Christian or religious, and that was all they really needed to sort of to bring them to the place to become a religious person. Not having had that, I was sort of stuck trying to intellectualize what that felt like, and I wasn't really being successful doing that. And to write a character effectively, you really have to be able to get in their head. You really need to sort of understand them, understand why, if it's a prophetic figure, why his followers, why would they follow him? Why is he so appealing? And something that I could connect to. And I was talking to one of our developers about it, who was actually, I think he was sort of frustrated by the game because he felt that, I think he was sensing that sort of lack of authenticity, and he was very religious, this individual, and we talked about it for a long time. And I do what I do, which is I just ask a lot of questions, and I knew a fair amount about the Old Testament. I knew a fair amount about the Gospels, and I saw, as a non-religious person, I had a fair amount of knowledge about that stuff. And something I really tuned into, and something that I thought was that, as I talked to him, as I realized one of the most powerful elements of his religion was the notion of forgiveness, and that's very much of a New Testament thing. And I started thinking about that and how powerful that, if I could believe in sort of, a divine power or something like that, the notion of being able to wash away sins was a very powerful concept to me, because. And I don't necessarily mean sins from from where I'm sitting, from a sort of a biblical standpoint. I just mean we've all done things we're not proud of, and to be able to sort of wash that away is such a powerful notion. And somebody who could offer that to me, would be very powerful.
Excuse me, it's Booker DeWitt. I guess you're expecting me. Good luck with that, pal.
So I sort of went back to the character and I said, okay, let me take him from that angle as a guy who can offer redemption to people, and that made me that helped me rethink him and reimagine him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really interesting. And so, I mean, a big metaphor in that sort of Christian narrative is that of sacrifice. So is that something you can talk about being included in the game?
No, I think I want to leave I don't want to spoil too. I don't want to spoil too much. So that's about what I'm comfortable saying about the religious aspects, because it is an important element of the game. I don't want to do too much that would ruin the story for people.
And also, it's only, we should say, it's one element among political and ideological sort of space.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, in creating these characters that sort of then have this sort of utopian leader quality, is that something you think is reflected in you and the sort of person you are?
I think it's sort of the anti-reflection that I'm sort of I'm a cynic, I'm a skeptic. And so I'd like to sort of, and the first game, Andrew Ryan, the first Bioshock game, his belief system, though I'm not an objectivist, I'm not a follower of Ayn Rand or anything like that. There are certain aspects of it that I can connect to and relate to. And sort of I chose for the first game, like to sort of go after something closer to my own belief systems. And I thought that was important because it's very easy to criticize everybody else's beliefs.
With each act, we change the world. One man chose a city free of law and God, but others chose corruption, and so the city fell. If the world were reborn in your image, would it be paradise or perdition?
As I said, I'm not a religious person, so Rand and Ryan are atheists, and they have a view. They're a very empirical view of the world, and I tend to take an empirical view of the world, and I related to that. And I'm not a believer in sort of blindly following, a particular government or sort of a political structure. And so I related to that, but then I really was important to me that then I sort of explore how that could go wrong, that belief system go wrong. And I feel that puts me in a better position to be working on a game that's not where the main where the sort of the antagonist is not part of my belief system, because I've sort of done that honest experiment of taking apart a character who is or examining a character who is closer to my belief system.
That's what we've got time for this week on Family Gamer TV, but we'll be back with more soon.